Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Kidney Coach YouTube channel. I am naturopath Fiona Chin, co-founder of Kaigenesis and co-author of the Kidney Disease Solution. And I am joined today by naturopath and registered nurse Emily Cahill. Emily works at a big neurological cardiovascular hospital here in Melbourne, Australia, and she's a naturopath at the Wellness Guru with moi, because I stole her, and she's amazing. And she specializes in all things kidney, all things oncology and cancer, and neurological, such as MS. Emily also answers all our Facebook posts, writes most of our Facebook posts, and writes half our blogs that you will find on our website. And if you're very lucky and you send an email to support@kaigenesis.com, Emily will get back to you and check that your drugs are interacting perfectly with whatever supplements you are taking. So she's a wealth of information, and we feel very blessed to have her as part of the Kidney Coach team. So thank you for your time again today, Em. So we're going to talk today about one of my favorite fruits in the whole wide world. In fact, you know, when people say if you're going to get stuck on a tropical island and you get one food, and what would you take? I'd take sour cherries. Although I know to survive, you need to take a coconut, but I figure I'm on a tropical island anyway, and there'll be coconut trees everywhere. But if I could take something else, it'd be sour cherries, because I love them so much. So let's talk today about why we love sour cherries so much. We've put developing a new alkalizing formula. We in the middle of getting that done. Duncan and I put that formula together, and one of the things we put in there was sour cherry extract. So I definitely just want to cover why we love sour cherries so much and why they might be useful if you have been diagnosed with kidney disease. So Em, do you want to take it away and just first off tell us what sour cherries actually are, and maybe some of their ingredients in them that makes them so useful for kidney disease, but more associated conditions that go around with that?
Yeah, so sour cherries are a fruit. Obviously, the name gives it a little bit away. They are quite sour. Sometimes you might hear them described as tart cherries as well. So they also sort of go by that name as well. They're a good source, particularly of vitamin A and vitamin C, but also contain some of other vitamins. So they also contain some vitamin K, some vitamin A, which I mentioned, and some of our B vitamins, which as well. Which is kind of cool. Yeah. I guess their primary actions when we're talking about using them for kidney disease or other conditions are they're really strongly antioxidant. So both from their vitamin and mineral content, but also the phytonutrients as well, particularly foods that are brightly coloured. So obviously cherries being brightly coloured as well, that's sort of a bit of a giveaway as to things that are high in antioxidants. They're also really good in terms of having anti-inflammatory action.
Our favourite two actions, it does both of them. If you hear any of our videos, Emily and I are obsessed with all things antioxidant and anti-inflammatory, so that's why we love cherries.
They also are good in terms of protecting our cardiovascular system. Mm-hmm. They have some analgesic properties, so some pain relieving properties as well. And they're really good for sleep too. So sometimes you'll see sour cherry extract in formulas to help people with sleep as well. They've got some anti-cancer actions. They're helpful for our immune system, and they're also really good for lowering uric acid. So it means that they're particularly good, and they're often recommended for people who have gout for that reason.
Yeah, and the reason it's so good in sleep is it naturally, I think sour cherries contain melatonin, or a phytonutrient that boosts the body's own production of melatonin. I know there's an Australian company promoting on Facebook at the moment that if you drink sour cherry extract before going to bed, that you'll have a much better quality sleep. So that's one of the things that it's amazing for. And then of course, Emily and I've spoken about the amazing antioxidant properties that melatonin has on the body as a whole. So sour cherries being part of that also works through the melatonin pathway for antioxidants that way too. So anything antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, Emily and I are all over that. The two major biological actions we're looking for in any herb or nutraceuticals when it comes to kidney disease, because they are the major drivers of deterioration in kidney function and things like that. So why don't we talk about, we probably don't need to talk about the anti-inflammatory antioxidants again, because you and I have gone over that so many times. There are so many studies. We've got a blog post up on the website where you can actually have a look at that. But I'd be interested to just look at, because it's an unusual biological action for something like sour cherries to have an analgesic effect, if you want to speak to that. And then we should probably talk about its role in things like cardiovascular disease and definitely arthritis and gout, which is where you'll see us use it mostly.
Yes. So in terms of its analgesic or pain relieving type actions, it works in a sort of similar way to things like ibuprofen or naproxen, so those non-steroidal anti-inflammatories, in that it inhibits the activity of something called COX-2 or cyclooxygenase 2. Which reduces the production of prostaglandins. So prostaglandins are inflammatory type molecules in the body which contribute to pain. So by reducing the production of prostaglandins, then it can have pain relieving activities. And it's actually been shown that when compared to things like ibuprofen, that sour cherry is comparable in terms of pain relief.
I saw that in the studies too, which is amazing. Like, that's as good as a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory. We know that NSAIDs often make kidney disease worse, so it's a really great substitute, which is amazing.
Yeah, exactly. And without having the potential negative actions that NSAIDs have. So definitely a good something to use instead of. Then in terms of cardiovascular health, so there's been animal studies showing that it reduced the risk of cardiovascular disease. And again, a lot of that is because of its antioxidant activity, so reducing oxidative stress in the body, but also has a potential to reduce blood pressure and an action on cholesterol too. And then it's been shown to reduce the level of CRP or C-reactive protein, which is a marker that you can get tested on a blood test, which correlates with inflammation. So CRP is a marker of inflammation, and it's also lots of studies have been shown that people with higher CRP are at higher cardiovascular risk. Yeah. So by reducing CRP, it's got that protective action on our cardiovascular health. And there was also a human study which showed that also it reduced insulin levels too.
Yes. So
potentially beneficial there for people with diabetes, and that link between diabetes and obviously cardiovascular disease, but also kidney disease as well.
And let's talk about arthritis and gout, because that's really where this shines.
Yeah, and it might be where you've heard of or had someone recommend sour cherries or tart cherries. It's often in for gout or arthritis. Yeah. And one of the main reasons why is, so often with people with gout, it's because they have high levels of uric acid in the body. And so uric acid is a waste product formed by the body. And when we've got elevated uric acid, it can I don't know how to move to our joints, and they become sort of like little shards of glass almost in joints. So often, gout, that sort of typical gout that, often starts in the big toe, but you get, if any joint that's affected, a lot of inflammation, a lot of pain. And it's because of this uric acid. So usually the kidneys are responsible for filtering uric acid in the body, and that's why people with kidney disease, one of the reasons why they're at higher risk of gout, because obviously if you're not able to clear that uric acid, then that's potentially going to cause gout to occur. So there's been quite a few studies that have shown that sour cherries actually reduce uric acid levels. So it's beneficial that way, but also, as we'd already spoken about, the fact that it reduces inflammation, it reduces oxidative stress as well. So they all contribute to gout and arthritis too, and pain, and it's a pain reliever.
Yeah, exactly. And then it helps you sleep better. I mean, geez, when you start listening to it, like, why wouldn't you want sour cherries? So if people are listening to this and they're like, far out, sour cherries sound quite amazing, how would people incorporate that into their diet?
Yeah, so you can obviously eat sour cherries fresh if you're able to get them, but also you can get it as juice. So sour cherry juice or tart cherry juice, and then you can also get it as a powder. So you can use that in cooking, things like smoothies. Obviously adding it to a drink. So yeah, there's a few different ways you can use it depending on what your preference is.
Now, the one thing I definitely think we should talk about is the type of sour cherry, because there are a couple of different types, and I know most of the studies are done with the Montmorency cherry extract, which is the one we're using in our formula. And the reason we decided to go with the Montmorency extract was it's because it's the one that's with all the clinical trials behind it. So the company that we're using, it's all organic. It comes straight from the farm. They use really amazing processing. The way they extract it is less chemicals and solvents and things like that, so it's solvent free. And yeah, they just had a plethora of scientific studies which no one else did. So that's definitely the Montmorency cherry extract is the one. And I think if you head over to our website and look at our articles in there down the bottom, you'll see there's a link to, I think it's shorelinefruit.com/products, and you can order straight off their website. That is the company that we've ordered our extract from to add to our alkalizing formula. So, not all sour cherries are made equal. Yeah, and they're slightly different depending on what country and region you're in. And if you're eating them, they only generally come into season a certain amount of time. In Australia, they're our Christmas thing, cherries. We eat them around Christmas time. And then I have them frozen, so I'm adding them to my smoothie all the time. But the extract is really nice. So I also get extract powder and just add that straight into smoothies as well. So yeah, I've seen it do amazing things with gout. It's, that's when I often use it. It's really great at bringing down those uric acids pretty quickly. As you mentioned, gout can be really painful for people. Even the weight of a sheet on the big toe can be excruciating. So it just helps with that. And then, of course, you've got all the sleep stuff. So dosage-wise, what are you recommending to people with sour cherry? I think we've got the extract that we're using. I think we've got 300 milligrams of a 30-to-1. So it's like three grams. I think we're using the alkalizing powder per serve, which I think was on par of what I think it was like 2 to 5 grams or something like that.
Yeah, I think it's something like that.
You have too much of it, it'll just cause, if you eat too many cherries, what happens? You get loose bowel motion. So that would be probably more from all the fiber. I don't think the extract's going to do that to you. I just know I've tried it with cherries when I've eaten like a proper kilo of cherries in one go and wonder why I feel sick. So I think that's fiber issues. So they aren't delicious. Anything else you want to say about cherries? Any drug interactions or anything else people should be wary about?
Just probably the other thing to be wary about really with the juice is its potassium content.
Yes.
So 1 cup of sour cherry juice is going to give you around about sort of 370 milligrams of potassium. So obviously people who have high potassium levels or who are needing to follow a low potassium diet, if you're eating the cherries fresh or the powdered extract, it's different. It's not that same level of potassium, but just for anyone who may be drinking the juice, just be aware of that.
Thank you. That's a very good point. Awesome. All right. Thanks, Em. And yeah, hopefully everyone's racing out to get some sour cherries into their life. I love it when there's a food. I love the whole food as medicine thing because it's something that you can add without having to take an extra supplement. It's one of the reasons we added it to the alkalizing powder, because it was something that we could add that wouldn't make the price of the alkalizing formula crazy, but it's just so amazing at that anti-inflammatory, antioxidant. It's pretty much got no drug interactions apart from potentially potassium issues. But in the, like you say, the extract, I think looking at it, it was fine. That's why we put it in there. So it's yeah, just a super useful extra thing. And berries naturally have a healing affinity towards the kidneys anyway. Berries seem to be the food, and it's because, like Emily said, they're bright. It's that antioxidant properties that they've got. So any sort of berry, but sour cherries particularly, are a great addition to your diet if you've got kidney disease. So if you like this information, make sure you hit like and subscribe. That way you'll get notified anytime Emily and I put out a new video. If you want to know more about the kidney disease solution, you can head over to www.kidneycoach.com, and on there you'll find the article that I was talking about. I'll put the link in the description below, and then you can go and have a look at where we get our sour cherry extract from. You can also head over to our Facebook page, www.facebook.com/kidneycoach, and join our community there. We're on there every day, and there's a beautiful community of people talking and sharing information. And yeah, hopefully we'll see you on one of those platforms. Emily, thank you again for your time today. As always, it's greatly appreciated. And enjoy your sour cherries. Hopefully you enjoy them as much as I do. Until then, we'll see you next time. Thanks, Em. Bye.